It all started here in Lagos with the choice of the then former military ruler, popularly referred to as General Muhammadu Buhari, or GMB for short, by the opposition All Progressives Congress as its candidates for the 2015 presidential contest. From then on, the campaign started. Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, candidate Buhari, joined by other party leaders, moved around with a campaign manifesto that focused on insecurity, fixing the economy, and fighting corruption, which was largely agreed to be Nigeria's greatest challenge. Nigerians accepted them, and Buhari won.
I intend to keep my oath and serve as president to all Nigerians. I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
Straight to business, Buhari got started but had a long delay in putting together his cabinet, which was a cause of worry for many Nigerians who felt there was no time to waste any longer. He eventually put one together 6 months after, as he made moves to realize his campaign promises. One of the major moves of the new administration in the bid to tackle corruption in the public sector was the implementation of the Treasury Single Account, which was introduced 3 years earlier by the previous government, but remained unimplemented until Buhari's executive order in August 2015. TSA has been implemented in more than 90% of all federal ministries, departments and agencies, and has helped in saving about 4 billion naira monthly in banking charges, according to the government. Other moves, like the whistleblower policy, were also introduced to prompt Nigerians to say something when they see something about any corrupt act, with a promise of some incentives. Through the policy, various amounts of money in local and foreign currencies were discovered by anti-corruption agencies in apartments and other locations in Lagos and different parts of the country. Insecurity was another major campaign issue for the new administration, and it got a good attention. In the first few months, the Boko Haram terrorists that were in control of some local councils in the country, apart from striking anywhere they fancied, as well as abducting school children in numbers, were confronted more frontally. With the cooperation of some other neighboring countries through the multinational joint task force, the terrorists were restricted to the Sambisa forest, though still unrelenting in their campaign for an Islamic State in Nigeria. Some level of success was recorded in the battle against the insurgents, which include the release in 2017 of more than half of the Chibok schoolgirls abducted in 2014 from their dormitory. Over 100 of them are still unaccounted for. Along the line came the apparent lack of adequate infrastructure and tools for the Nigerian army to prosecute the war, a development that left the troops vulnerable at times to the insurgents, who appear more motivated in their bloodletting campaign. And just as the authorities were acknowledging the need to upgrade the infrastructure and motivate the men the more, the daring terrorists struck again, targeting another school. On February 19, 2018, at about 5:30 p.m., 110 schoolgirls aged 11 to 19 years old were kidnapped by the terrorist group from the government's Girls' Science and Technical College in Dapchi, Yobe State. Security forces were deployed to search for the missing schoolgirls and ensure their return. 5 of the girls died in the process, and all others except Leah Sharibu were released in March 2018, less than a month after their abduction. Despite not being able to occupy Nigeria territories like before, suicide bombings and attacks on civilians were heightened by the terrorists, who killed not less than 1,200 and displaced about 200,000 people in the northeast alone in 2018. Perhaps an angle to the security challenge facing Nigeria that was underestimated were the attack and clashes between herders and farming communities across the northern part, as well as other parts of the country. The development has resulted in the killings of thousands of rural farmers and displacement of thousands of households. The activities of the killer herders have been worsened by another terror group referred to in official circles as bandits, who started their criminal acts in the northwest and graduated into abduction of not just locals but high net worth individuals as well as passengers on the highways in the north. They were to spread across the country, mixing with other willing groups that also carry out other sundry crimes like armed robbery. Insecurity remains a great challenge confronting Nigeria at present. Beyond the tragic loss of lives, terrorism created a climate of insecurity with devastating economic impact on Nigeria. In 2013, it was estimated that terrorism cost the Nigerian economy over $28 billion. The climate of insecurity equally added to the poor performance of Nigeria in Global Competitive Index in recent times. Nigeria is Africa's largest producer of oil and the sixth largest oil producing country in the world. But despite the huge resource endowment, majority of the population are in abject poverty with unemployment and insecurity growing. The economic fortune dwindled due to a fall in the global price of crude oil prior to 2015, and the situation is still the same. Coming in with the realization of that, the Buhari government, on assumption of office, focused on de-emphasizing oil as a major revenue earner for the nation. A new policy on agriculture as well as moves to protect Nigerian farmers were introduced. They include the Anchor Borrowers Program piloted by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which was launched by President Muhammadu Buhari on November 17, 2015. The government says till date, that scheme has made more than 300 billion naira available to more than 3.1 million smallholder farmers of 21 different commodities, cultivating over 3.8 million hectares of farmland. Others include the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative launched as a government-to-government partnership between the Nigerian and Moroccan governments in December 2016. The initiative is said to have produced over 30 million 50 kg bags of fertilizers. High-level poverty and unemployment remain a critical social issue in Nigeria. A social investment and poverty alleviation program, the National Social Investment Program, was introduced in 2016. The administration boasts that the scheme remains the largest of such program in Africa, touching 32.6 million persons from more than 7 million poor and vulnerable households. But the reality on the street of Nigeria points to the fact that more efforts are required to get the millions of Nigerians in poverty out. With some of the achievements as his credentials, President Muhammadu Buhari sought another term in office in 2019 and got it after defeating the opposition PDP in a keen contest that saw Buhari promising Nigeria a consolidation of his achievements since 2015. The new administration will intensify its efforts in security, restructuring the economy and fighting corruption, Buhari told the nation after his victory was officially announced in 2019. But just months after the government settled in, the economy took a plunge orchestrated by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. In March 2020, the president set up an economic sustainability committee chaired by his vice, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, to develop a comprehensive economic plan and respond to the disruptions and dislocations caused by the pandemic. An economic sustainability plan produced by that committee, the authorities say, helped Nigeria exit its COVID-induced recession faster than expected. While many Nigerians are less than impressed with the performance of the Buhari government in its 6 years due to growing insecurity, which has led to more abductions in schools, poverty, and above all, the threat of secession by different groups across the country, the government spokespersons are daily rolling out their achievements in not just the three areas of their campaigns, but also in health, infrastructure, foreign relations, youth development, among others. On the other hand, the critics of the government, majority of whom are also advocates of restructuring of the country, are of the opinion that such basic steps as devolution of power, promotion of justice and equity, as well as cutting the cost of governance and looking inward in the fight against corruption by the Buhari government will help in no small measure to tackle some of the socio-economic challenges facing Nigeria as the government embarks on its last 2 years in office. Tokunbo Oyetunji. Arise News, Lagos.